Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big ideas. So we're going to talk about a huge shift in how the internet works today. I mean, what if you could stop just renting your digital life and actually start owning it? We're diving into a future where your online self isn't treated like property, but as a real extension of your personhood.
Let's just start with a really basic question. Think about everything that makes you, you, online. All your photos, your contacts, your social connections, even your private biometric data. Who's really in the driver's seat there? Who's in control? Well, as we're about to see, the answer is probably not who you think it is.
You see, right now, almost all of us are what you'd call software licensees. We scroll, we click I agree, and what we get is basically a temporary pass to use a platform. The platform is the landlord, and we're just tenants living in their building. But a whole new model is starting to take shape, one where you become the principal owner. You hold the keys to your own digital home, and you decide who gets access and on your terms.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the problem with our current digital landlords. Then, we'll explore this incredible new vision of digital personhood and the tools being built to make it real. We're also going to see how this completely flips the script on online contracts before we wrap up with a really important question. In a world where you have this much control, who do you actually choose to become?
Okay, let's dive right in. To really get this, we first have to understand the system we're all living in right now. The way today's web is built creates this power imbalance that I think a lot of us can feel, even if we can't quite put our finger on why.
The web we use today is built kind of like a fortress. A few giant companies control everything that happens inside the walls. Your data, your identity, the service you're using, it's all bundled up together in one box. This creates these massive data silos and what's called vendor lock-in. I mean, have you ever tried to move your entire social network from one platform to another? It's basically impossible, right? This centralization is the root cause of so many of our privacy nightmares, because at the end of the day, you don't actually control the digital space you live in.
But what if we could rebuild the web on a totally different foundation? And this isn't just some techie idea. It's a really profound philosophical shift that puts human beings back at the center of the whole system.
And this is the core idea. Instead of treating our data like it's just some commodity to be bought and sold, this vision reframes it as an inalienable digital prosthetic extension of who we are. I mean, just think about that for a second. It's not separate from you, it is you. And because of that, it comes with inherent human rights attached. And that brings us to this key concept, digital personhood. It's this revolutionary idea that having control over your digital identity isn't some luxury, it's a fundamental human right for the 21st century. This is all about having real agency, the power to actually do things, not just being granted permission to use someone else's playground.
So this all sounds amazing in theory, right? But how do we actually build it? This vision needs an architecture. And it all starts by giving each and every one of us a place to live online that we truly own and control.
The technical foundation for this new web is a project called Solid. That's short for Social Linked Data. And get this, it comes from the guy who invented the World Wide Web in the first place, Tim Berners-Lee. Its mission is simple but so powerful. Decentralize the web by breaking the link between applications and the data they use.
At the very heart of Solid is something called a pod, a personal online data store. You can think of it like your own personal, secure data safe on the web, where you store everything. Now, what's really crucial is that your pod gets its own unique address that you own forever, called a decentralized identifier, or DID. It's kind of like having a permanent phone number for your digital self that isn't tied to any single company. The key is, you are in control with it.
And this just completely reverses the flow of power. Instead of you uploading your data to a dozen different apps, the apps have to come to your data in your pod. You could grant a photo sharing app permission to access only your photos folder, for example. It asks your pod's Sparkle endpoint, which is basically a super smart specific search bar for your data, for exactly what it needs and nothing more. And you can revoke that permission anytime you want. The data never has to leave your control.
Okay, so we've got ownership of our data. That's a massive first step. But for this new web to actually treat us with dignity, the systems themselves need a totally new way to understand what a person even is.
And this isn't just a technical problem, it's a deeply philosophical one. I mean, in the pure logic of databases and code, how do you actually represent the unique qualities of a human being in a way that separates them from, a car or a bank account or a pair of shoes?
Well, the solution is in something called ontology, which is really just a fancy word for how we define concepts for computers. The old way defines pretty much everything, including people, as a generic thing, like a product that can be owned and sold. This new model creates a special category just for a natural person. It tells the computer, hey, this is not an object. This is a being with consciousness and relationships and feelings. It defines a person as someone with agency, not just an asset on a spreadsheet. This right here is the bedrock of digital personhood.
This new blueprint, called the Human-Centric AI Ontology, is really designed to give our future AI systems a vocabulary to think about us ethically. It's about programming them from the ground up to prioritize human well-being, our rights, and our values.
Okay, so we own our data. Our systems have a blueprint for understanding us as people. The final piece of this puzzle is creating a new set of rules for how we all interact, new contracts for a much more conscious and consensual web.
We've all done it, right? You scroll and scroll through a 50-page terms of service document you have no intention of reading, and you just click, I agree. That's called an asserted agreement. It's totally one-sided. The future is about moving to mutually agreed terms, where digital agreements become a real negotiation between equals.
So here's a really cool, practical example of how this could work. Let's say Alice wants to connect with Bob. Her request includes proposed terms, like, say, a 7-day cooling-off period. Bob can actually review those terms and suggest his own changes. Once they both digitally sign the final version, their personal AIs automatically enforce those rules. It becomes this transparent, living contract between them. And we can even go a step further by embedding our core values directly into the code of our agreements. A value credential can encode principles from something like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This means your right to privacy or dignity isn't just an afterthought in a legal doc. It's a machine-readable, fully enforceable part of every single digital relationship you form. So let's bring all these threads together. Owning our data, digital personhood, conscious contracts. What does all this technology actually mean for our identities, for the very essence of who we are when we're online? You see, this whole framework gives us the tools not just to protect our digital selves, but to consciously and deliberately build them. This is so much bigger than just privacy or moving your data around. It's about self-determination in the digital age. And that leaves us with one final and, I think, profound question. If you had the absolute power to design your digital self with full agency, who would you choose to be?